So basically the way that we funded it was we signed up with a line of credit at Town Bank. We all had to guarantee it with our houses. So we all left relatively high paying jobs. We took that leap of faith. My name's Tony Cortinas. I am one of the founders and the current president of Marathon Consulting. And Marathon is a IT services company based out of Hampton Roads with an office in Richmond, Virginia. And we focus on providing application development services, data solution services, and IT advisory services for commercial clients focused in Virginia and also across the country. Yeah, so we actually started the company on April Fool's Day on 2006. Now that we look back, that was also right before the Great Recession, which is, really interesting. And I think we were able to fare very well there, even though we were a young company, because we really, bootstrapped this thing ourselves, and we really focused on, kind of the core of providing those services to the clients rather than focusing on necessarily having an office or building out an admin staff. So me and those three other guys handled, pretty much the bulk of running the business, while also three of us were also doing consulting. So the fact that we, approached founding the company that way really helped us get started. And also too, we have a really good mix of clients. So we work in many different industries, but we don't focus on just one industry. Certainly as we know, with the economy and recessions, certain businesses do well at certain times and other businesses, do well in opposite times. In a down economy, there's businesses that do well. So for us, having that mix, it really provides stability, from our client standpoint, and then also from a consultant standpoint too. So the core mission when we founded Marathon was really to focus on finding the most talented people in the area and bring them on board and have them provide high quality services to our clients. Me and the other founders of the company all came from a national IT consulting company that was bought out by a billion-dollar global company. And once that happened, they really changed the dynamic of their service offering and focused on billion-dollar companies with million-dollar IT budgets. And they wanted to shift a lot of the work overseas because outsourcing was very popular at the time, which was really very different from the model that we were used to. So we saw that was going to create a gap in the area. So me and three other guys started Marathon. There was the four of us back in 2006, and at the time we had 4 clients. Today we're about 125 consultants and have serviced over 600 clients. So I think that definitely proves that there was a gap in the area. So when we started, it's actually interesting. We actually had talked to the company that we had worked for, and because their plan was to exit the market, they were willing to turn over some clients for us. So they didn't just have those clients, kind of fend for themselves, because it was a pretty solid book of business. There was over 200 consultants for that company working in this area at the time. And so we had worked out a deal where they were going to turn over the client list to us and have us be able to go after and transfer some of those clients over to Marathon so that they weren't left in the dust. And right before we launched Marathon, I think it dawned on them that this was a huge book of business, and it wouldn't be in their best interest to turn that business over to us. So they pulled back on their deal, and we started Marathon anyways. And, like I said, we had 4 clients at the time that we relied on. We had a lot of contacts in the area because me and the other founders had worked, in the area, and we had clients that we had worked for. So I think that's something that really helped us too, because we, not having that book of business just existing, we really had to dig in and, be pretty strategic and, also had to succeed, right? Because we didn't have any anything to fall back on. So from a sales standpoint, we really went to work and were able to, pretty quickly grow the client roster. So basically the way that we funded it was we signed up with a line of credit at Town Bank. We all had to guarantee it with our houses. And the other way we found it is when we started Marathon, each of the 4 partners didn't take a salary for 2 months. So we all left relatively high paying jobs. And we took that leap of faith. One of the founders, Ben, had just found out that his wife was pregnant with her second child. And I remember, sitting on the day that he quit at Surfrider, and we were sitting there, and we were just talking about how we quit perfectly paying jobs, and he had the other, the other pressure of that second kid on the way, and we took that leap of faith, and I think as we look back, it's something that we were very proud of, and obviously was something that we did have a good idea, and it really paid off.
Tom Marsden. I'm a vice president here at Marathon Consulting. I've been with the company almost 15 years now. And really what Marathon focuses on is solving technical problems in the software space, in the custom app space, in the web space, mobile, and project management and business advisory. I came from a software engineering background. I really wanted to code and build solutions. I did that before Marathon in the broadcasting world. I was building things that make little logos appear on your screen, or be able to know when switching from camera A to camera B in a production environment, how that all works. I worked on the software before that. I was at a point in my career where that situation was changing. I was looking for a solution to stay in the Hampton Roads region. I found Marathon. Well, actually, a good friend of mine found Marathon, said, hey, maybe you should apply here. And the rest is history. When I started in 2010, I was like any other software development consultant here at Marathon. I was out there in front of clients, solving their problems. I started working for a semiconductor client up in Northern Virginia. That was my primary client still to this day. They still let me throw a little code over the fence, but really today I focus on architecture, building out applications, and then the overall strength of Marathon's business. That has allowed me to evolve from a developer who's just focused on one solution to being able to impact 5 to 10 to 15 different projects at Marathon, impacting 20 to 30 different clients, all solving their problems across many different people, and then taking the software engineers and the developers and the designers that we have here at Marathon and enabling them to do those same things and solve those solutions. So Marathon has allowed me to grow and expand. With that has come a lot of growth and expansion at Marathon over the years. When I joined, there were about 20 employees. Now we're about 125. So it's a huge amount of growth. And at the end of the day, we're really there fixing things for our clients, improving their world, and allowing them to expand as well. And as they expand, we can expand.
Katie Keene, and I am a senior corporate recruiter. Been here since 2011. And the fact that when I started, which is kind of interesting how I even got here, but when I started with Marathon, they only had about 18 employees. So I came on board as a dedicated recruiter to help them move the needle forward. The original 4 founding partners were actually doing a lot of that, cherry picking people that they knew from the consulting world that they had worked with previously. But as they had grown to that size, they needed, someone to help them move to the next level. So in that time, I've been able to help them grow. It's really exciting to be a part of that. I'm not a partner, I'm not an owner, but I do take the same kind of ownership pride. And the fact that I've helped them move the needle from 18 employees to where we are today. We used to be in an office that was near Mount Trashmore, then we moved here. We've since expanded to Richmond as well. We not only have a great team of people here in the Hampton Roads area, but in Richmond and in other states as well. So, and then we now have an internship program as well that we've been hiring junior talent to be the next wave of talent here for Marathon, in the decades to come. So being a part of that and actually seeing that come to life, Marathon wasn't a startup per se when I started with them, but 18 employees to where we are now, and seeing the growth, the success, best places to work in Virginia, top workplaces in Hampton Roads, VTOP for interns, just to be a part of that and know that I've had some input in being able to help bring each individual in, that's tremendous. That's something that's invaluable. And you don't get a chance to have that opportunity to really make that kind of an impact typically as a recruiter.
One of the things that really sets us apart from our competitors as well, and from a recruiting standpoint, is the name's Marathon Consulting, and that's very intentional because we're not a contractor, and we don't do contract work. So when we hire an employee, we're looking not at what their first engagement is. We're looking at what's their second engagement and third engagement, because we want to build that long-term relationship with our employees. And I mentioned, it's one of the things that we invest a lot in our employees in order to fulfill that. And what that does is it really creates this amazing team of people that we have. And for people to be able to look back and look at their time at Marathon and really value that and look at their accomplishments. When you're working at Marathon and you're working with our clients, a lot of times you kind of look back and be like, hey mom, I did that. Like, see that website? When you go into maybe a dealership, or you go to healthcare provider, and you could be like, hey, like, I actually built that system that they're using. It's pretty gratifying. And I know I've done that a couple of times, being able to look back and just see the work that we've done. And it really makes me proud of having that, tangible product or service that we can provide, and to be proud of it, helping deliver it. We really stuck to our guns on our mission of hiring the best talent and providing, that level of service to our clients. We really focus on the quality aspect. And I think early on, it would have been very easy to grow the company a lot faster and, maybe sacrifice some of that quality and maybe lower our standards to chase work and really grow the company. And I think that served us very well. We always focused on, realistic growth that also met our quality standards. And it's really paid off, because that, I think you can get those short-term gains. And, obviously at the time, being a young company, that's very desirable, that you can really grow, and, that could be substantial inflow to the company. But some of that would be really short-sighted. And by sticking to our guns, that's really played off in the long run. And it also provides a lot of stability for our clients, right? So we're hiring really good people. They're really talented. They always do a good job. And by keeping them happy, and they make our clients happy, and we can keep them for the long term, right? So if they're here for a long time, that's good for clients. So if somebody finishes up an engagement and they kind of move on to their next engagement, if that client comes back 2 years later or 5 years later, and they're saying, hey, is Scott still there, or is Matt still there? And we can say, oh, absolutely. And they know your business well, and we can line them up for a next engagement when you're ready for them. So that's really, really paid off in the long term, where, when we were looking back, we probably weren't sure if we were making the right decision, because you're turning down work.
We are people-centric, both on our internal employee side and then also on the client side, right? We're building long-term client relationships where we want to be there as a support person, as a development house, as a place that our clients turn to us for different projects. We want to be that advisor. We want to be that person to help direct the business. We want to provide great quality people that you build off. And then inherently, our business with that client is built over the years as well. So for example, I have clients that will still call me, and I still help them out from time to time, but it's more on an ongoing basis. And then a project might come out of it, and someone else can really have that impact. So I think Marathon threads that needle in terms of like, we're not in it to do huge volume with like 2 or 3 key customers. We're in it to help a lot of different clients across a lot of different industries and be there to support and grow their business throughout their business's life cycle, not to just make a one-time impactful statement and then not be there to see it through. We want to see it through, and we want to keep improving and keep being a solution provider to that client.
So my name is Savannah Martin, and my role at Marathon is a senior web technology consultant. So I started as an intern. From the very beginning, I saw an opportunity at Marathon in college, and I took it. So I interviewed with Marathon, got the position, and I started from the roots. I mean, I was doing quality assurance testing on projects, and actually I do development on those same projects now, and I'm a lead developer on those projects. So I started from the ground up, and Marathon really offered a wonderful opportunity for me to expand my knowledge outside of college, in real world projects. They offered me training as well. Along with mentorship. There's a lot of developers with tons of experience here. And through that, I just kind of took the opportunity and ran with it. And now, as a senior web developer, I am working on projects that I was doing testing on. And now I'm leading development on Init Projects, which is actually a client of ours that deals with public transit for agencies all over the country. And I'm leading development on Orange County's public transit's websites. So that's currently what I'm working on. So definitely an evolution. How has the leadership played into my growth? I would say that's my journey, first of all, is complete evidence to it. The fact that I've gone from an intern to a senior web technology consultant, that's, evidence right there. But they've all had an open door policy. If I needed anything, I knew I could go and ask questions. There's also plenty of training opportunities so I can expand my knowledge. I've actually gone to a developer conference and they paid for that opportunity for me. And a huge one is just the openness that is at Marathon. I mean, there's plenty of developers that have years and years of experience, and they don't mind talking and sharing their knowledge. And I say knowledge is wealth. So it's really nice to know you can kind of talk to anyone here and they're willing to share what they know.
My name is Carlton Campbell. I'm an enterprise business technology consultant here at Marathon Consulting. The role encompasses providing program management, project management services to companies mainly focused on technology-related projects. So I've served in that capacity for a number of different clients here for Marathon. What is interesting is that when I first started with Marathon, this is my second tour with Marathon. I first joined them back in August 2015, but at the time I wasn't looking for an opportunity. It was Katie Keene who called me. Just that conversation with Katie sparked an interest in Marathon for me and got me to consider actually leaving where I was at that time. And so it's something about the relationship that they form with you at the very beginning that I think helps set the course of what it's going to feel like when you become a part of the organization. And that's exactly what has happened with me here, and why I'm back again for a second go round, because the organization and the culture was one that I didn't know I would miss until it was gone, meaning I had gone to another organization with a much different culture. and where you were just a number. And so with Marathon, you feel part of the family. You really do feel that you matter, and that matters to me. You know, I'm not sure if everyone in whatever phase of life that they may come into the company will see that, because sometimes I think it takes years of experience in being in other organizations to really determine what you value as an employee. And although I call myself an employee, I don't necessarily feel like one here. I feel like an integral part of the organization.
There's no better validation for our mission in our company than when we have somebody come back. And it's happened multiple times. And it's always great to see that. And I think the reason they come back is, they see the culture that we have, and they see the team that we have. And I think really we have such a great team. It's a very collegial environment. And I think, it's one of those things where the grass is always greener. But sometimes we do have those, those consultants leave and they go to a different client environment, and they can see that there is a difference there.
Marathon has always operated from a hands-on, all the leadership is right there in your face, making those impacts from a day-to-day basis. And that type of culture is contagious. As I'm sure you've talked to some of the founders at Marathon, it started with them in a coffee shop, all being direct consultants with clients, right? And that DNA of our company has never left. That passes down through everybody, and everybody kind of has that approach, like, how can I help that client today? I think as we've seen over, as we have many generations in the workforce today, you have a lot of different concepts of that. But at the end of the day, when we focused on hiring our new talent and our younger team members, we've really focused on the fact that we're looking for that person who's that DNA, who's willing to go that extra mile and help. And that's in the Marathon DNA.
My name is Joe Quartarero. I'm responsible for e-commerce and branch systems at STIHL. STIHL is a worldwide manufacturer of outdoor power equipment. So we sell through our servicing dealers nationwide. We have almost 10,000 dealers and continue to grow throughout the nation. Globally, we support 43 countries worldwide, so it's pretty significant global business. The manufacturing facility is based in Virginia Beach. We actually manufacture something like 30% of the worldwide product for STIHL out of Virginia Beach. Marathon being a local company, I think, is much more in tune with our needs as a business in Virginia Beach. A lot of large consulting companies, they bring certain things to the table, but probably less of a personal touch that we've had with Marathon over the years, which has really benefited, I think, both businesses. That's one of the best things about working with Marathon, is they really do embrace the businesses they are supporting. So we've had many different consultants in different areas come from Marathon, work in STIHL with our IT and business employees, and they've really taken ownership of the business, of essentially acting like they're working for STIHL. And that's really important, that they take that level of ownership as a consulting company that not everybody does, and that I really think separates them from many other businesses that we could be doing business with.
Marathon's offered plenty of opportunities for me so far, so my plan is to continue to grow in my career here at Marathon. I would love to continue creating new functionality for clients, continue leading projects, and honestly offering the same support that other more senior developers gave to me when I first started. So being able to be a source of mentorship to those that are getting started is my goal, and sharing knowledge. So, yeah.
A person that has that humble spirit, that sense of community, that sense of camaraderie, a person that loves working for an organization that values the company culture, giving back to the community, that continuous learner. All of those things make for a great Marathon employee.
Yeah. Contrary to what is popular opinion these days, AI is not going to take every IT person's job away. I think there's still a very bright career in working with technology, in understanding how things work and building solutions. That is not going to change. How does a young person get involved in that? I would say it's not much different than how I got involved in it. You know, it started with a love for computers and technology. That morphed into understanding how code is written, you know, and the best advice I can give people, knowing what I know now, is to not just settle on what's in front of you, not just settle with your local CS classes, not just settle with, you know, here's the path that academia has put in front of me. It's to go beyond that path. It's to work on pet projects at home, but also look beyond the fact that not only do we have a robust user group community in the region that you can get involved in, but those people are the people that are so giving of their talents that they can be ones to really show you and take you under their wing and mentor you. It's still important to go through school, get good grades. I 100% agree with that model, but don't stop at that model. Find something that bothers you in your everyday life, and ask yourself, can technology solve this problem? And yeah, it might not be something that shows up on Shark Tank, but it might be something you develop internally and learn to develop and learn how a product works and how you build something like that, that'll make your resume shine more than, you know, any one of your classmates or anyone else out there. Get outside of the normal course, engage with user groups, code camps, maybe even some hackathons that some places have. Engage with things like that so you can see what technology is like in the wild and be starting to think about how can I improve my own life and others with technology.
I remember, you know, in our final interview, we do a group interview, typically with, you know, all the partners or most of the partners. And I remember early on when we used to have these interviews, especially very early on, and we were convincing, you know, employee number 1 or 2 or even 10, those interviews, those final interviews, we used to spend, you know, kind of 75% of the time selling Marathon, right? Because we're asking people to have faith in us, and we're a startup. And, you know, especially really early on, you know, half the employees were at the interview. You know, so I think, you know, we spend a lot of time asking people to kind of take that leap of faith in us. And I remember just recently at, you know, a final interview, and, you know, really just naturally, you know, the tables have turned, right? Obviously, we want to make sure that we are a good fit for the possible consultant that's coming on, and we spend a fair amount of time talking about Marathon, but I don't feel like we have to sell it anymore. And that was kind of like a light bulb moment to me. And I think, you know, if you look back, we have, you know, 20 years of success, and, you know, a large team that's, you know, still growing today. And it really hit me that we're not necessarily having to sell Marathon and convince somebody, you know, to take a leap of faith, because I think, you know, it's not a leap of faith, and it's really gratifying to be able to look back and see what we've grown and see that we now are a desirable place to work, and you know, we have people kind of seeking us out, and it's really wonderful to see.